Okay, welcome to the workshop that we're running today on 14 fish. My name is Jackie Smith and I'm the Senior Appraisal and Revalidation Manager for London. And with me today I have...
Thanks, Jackie. My name is Philippa Cockman and I'm the Appraisal Lead for GP Appraisal in London.
And my name's Mandeep Singh Baveja. I'm one of the Senior Clinical Advisors for NHS England and an Appraisal Lead. So today is a virtual 14 fish workshop, and before we start, I'd just like to say that 14 fish is a slightly different system, but it's a little bit like when you're using EMIS or System 1 in general practice. There are little differences between the systems, but once you get used to it with time, you get more and more used to it. So I thought the easiest way to demonstrate this would be to actually show you a live demo. So you can get to the 14 fish website. It's called 14fish.com. And as you can see, there's a login button, which I'm just going to press now. And I'm going to put my email address in. You would get a registration by registering with 14 fish for an account, as it says here. And then your appraisee would have to tell 14 fish that you were their appraiser, and then you would be linked to the appraiser, to the appraisee, sorry. And then I'm going to just put my password in. And just in the interests of confidentiality of any appraisees I might have on there, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for the next sort of login while I do that. And then on the next screen, on the top right, there is an area called Go to the Appraisers area. So you click on that. And then on the screen after that, you will see in the Appraisers area, under Current Appraisals, a Test Doctor. And there is a tab, a thumbnail to click on to view the Test Doctor. So I'm just going to click on the Test Doctor to view that. And I'm going to reshare my screen now. So if you click on the thumbnail,
I can't see that yet, Mandeep, sorry.
Okay, just 1 second. So you can't see anything yet, is that right?
No.
Just 1 second. Okay.
That's it, it's coming up now.
I'm just going to go to, can you see that we've got so here you've got the appraisal overview, and this is our Test Doctor. And if we come over here onto this icon, we can view the appraisal material for our Test Doctor. We click on that. And as you can see down here, you've got all the various aspects of appraisal that you'd be able to jump to in any appraisal system. Example, scope of work, past appraisals, complaints, significant events, your summary of discussion. You can see at the top here that when we're finished writing the appraisal and we want to upload it to RMS, we can download the appraisal with its attachments so that it's all ready, so then we can upload it to RMS. You've got your appraisal details here, and in a real appraisee, you would have their revalidation date as well, which is very helpful. And if we click on any of these areas on the left-hand panel, we can see their scope of work. We can see things like their CPD, And if you see here in the CPD, the downward pointing arrow, if we click on that, we can then see their CPD entry and any associated attachments. And if we can click on that to see the attachment. And if we wanted to put that, close that entry, we could just click on the upward facing triangle. So I'll show you that again. Downward facing triangle to open it, it then becomes an upward facing triangle. Click on the upward facing triangle to close it. If we wanted to jump to the complaint, we could jump through that. If we wanted to go back to the appraisal details, we just go to the top, and then and if we wanted, rather than jumping to each section, we can just scroll through the whole appraisal, which you should be able to see me doing now. Incidentally, the 2020 appraisal format is embedded into 14 Fish. They've just not done a test doctor with that. I'm just going to stop at this point of agreed PDP. You can see that you can click on edit this. So if we click on that, we can then sort of add PDP items that we've agreed with our appraisee. And then we can go back to the appraisal overview, view the material again. And if we jump here to summary of discussion, again, we can, once we've discussed with the doctor, we can edit and we can fill in these sections. One tip always is to save your work as you're going along using the save button, and to save it at regular intervals. And then just press save. And then we can go back to the appraisal material. And once we've written our summary of discussion, we can write our appraisal outputs, our final comments, and we can then sign, we'll have the option to sign the appraisee off. If we go back to the top and we go back to the appraisal overview, you can see that these lozenges are under appraisal meeting, show us what we've got left to do. And here we can actually do all the things that we need to do to sign off. So we can click on them, and then they can be sort of removed, and then you get to, and then you can sign it off. And there's actually a sign off process, an appraiser's guide lower down. So I'll just give you an example. So it says here that I have not completed an appraisal has taken place that reflects the whole of the doctor's scope of work and addresses the principle and values set out in good medical practice. So if I click on that, it takes me to that, and I can change that. So I can click on all this, do everything that I need to do to complete the appraisal. So it guides you well on that. And then if I go to the appraisal overview, I can see that that's not left to do anymore, or any of those statements are left to do anymore. One really good tip is that you can, if you go to this downward pointing triangle next to your name and you click on it, there is a help center. And if you click on the help center, there's lots of help for appraisers available. So if you go to appraisals and surveys for revalidation, it gives you ideas of appraiser FAQs. For example, how to look at the appraisal, how does the appraisee send you their appraisal. Just going to go back. And when you've finished everything, you can sign it off. And as I say, you have the option with 14 Fish to download with the attachments, which we would always request you do. and then you upload the completed appraisal with the attachments to RMS. I think that covers most things, but if there are any questions that, or Jackie, Philippa, if you think there's anything that I've left out or that was raised.
Can we
Thanks,
just
Mandy.
Yeah, I was going to say, can we just mention about feedback, the feedback that's available within 14 Fish?
Yeah, so an MSF and PSQ, that's a colleague survey and a patient survey, can both be done through 14 Fish. You also have the choice to use another benchmarked patient or colleague survey and upload it into 14 Fish, but 14 Fish do have one available. We looked it up, and I understand that it costs £28 or £29 for each survey. They give you a score for several different domains, and they compare that to the average peer score, and there is a section for comments. Does that answer that question?
Yes, thank you, Mandeep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mandeep. I think this has been really useful, and hopefully it's given people a helpful overview so they can refer to this when they get somebody that's using 14 Fish. What would you think if somebody asked what the pros and cons of this over Clarity?
Really difficult one, Philippa. I think generally these toolkits are just vehicles for us to present our appraisal material as required to demonstrate that we are practicing competently, safely, keeping up to date, and meeting the GMC domains for good practice. So I think it just comes down to personal preference. So there are several appraisal toolkits down there. It's what you feel comfortable with. Just as some people prefer using EMIS, some people prefer using System 1, and some people prefer using something like Vision or Adastra in terms of clinical practice. So no sort of we're very neutral to which vehicle people use. It'd be one of the two you've mentioned or anything else.
Yeah, so remains personal choice, whatever people want to use. And I'm aware that the trainees are now using this platform, and that quite a lot of the appraisers are trainers as well, and so they'll have logins as trainers. Is that the same login that they'll have if they then use this as an appraiser?
From what I understand, it's the same login because you get one 14 Fish account. Might just be worth double checking with 14 Fish because I'm not a trainer, but
yeah, I think from my understanding, I think you're probably right that it probably is the same.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Jackie?
No, I think only to just say that if we're aware that somebody is using 14 Fish as their preferred toolkit, then we will notify the appraiser that it's 14 Fish as opposed to Clarity or any other tool that's available, and so that they can then make contact to then get a login through their appraisee. And we will also alert the appraisee if we're aware of that, so that they know who their appraiser is, and we'll do that as we allocate at the beginning of each appraisal year. Okay, if there's not any further questions, then hopefully anybody listening to this recording in the future will find it useful should you need to refer to it for any of your appraisees using 14 Fish.
And just to say, this is the first time we've recorded one of these, so it'd be great to have some feedback from you about how useful it is and whether we should do more of these in the future.
Okay, thank you, Philippa. I will now stop the recording. And thank you very much, Mandeep, for your time.
No problem. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.